At number 19, I got Ryan Tannehill, the guy that always gets pooped on, the guy that everyone wants to replace him all the time, and I don't understand it. What is the guy doing wrong? The guy comes in, he doesn't lose games, he's solid, he's not great, but not everybody has to be great. Nick Foles wasn't great, and you were able to win a title. You don't have to be great or elite to win titles, but you do have to be productive. And Ryan Tannehill is a productive quarterback who, in my opinion, is just fine. And sitting at 19 is exactly where he should be, and that's not a bad spot to be if you're Ryan Tannehill. Good for you, my man. Keep going. At number 18, we have Kenny Pickett, old noodle arm himself. Look, I am not a believer in Kenny Pickett, and perhaps I will be proven to be wrong over time. As of right now, though, I believe exactly what I thought he was going to be is what he is. It's a mixed bag. I do question his arm talent and his ability to win long term in the NFL due to that lack of arm talent. His mobility, really good though. And also the thing that surprised me the most, that it factor, those guys seem to really like him, really pull for him, really want to play with him. He has the perfect attitude to essentially be a Tim Tebow-esque quarterback in terms of intangibles with much more quarterback ability. So I think that is a mix where he might be able to make some noise and prove me wrong. But for now, sitting at 18, it's fair. It's fair. 17, I got Brock Purdy. Look, Brock Purdy took over the NFL by storm last year. Everybody's buying in. Everybody thinks he's great. I don't. I think he's solid. I think he's much closer to Jared Goff than he is to Patrick Mahomes. I think he's much closer to a good, solid quarterback like a Ryan Tannehill who's just not going to muck it up. And that system with the 49ers, they just needed a guy that was going to come in, stay on script, keep the timing where it's supposed to be, come in and just manage. That's all he needed to do. That's all he needs to do going forward, and he does that very well. And for that reason, I think that's how he found his way up on this list to be sitting here at number 17. We got Brock Purdy. At 16, we got one of my favorite, perhaps my favorite quarterback coming out of the draft, Clayton Tune. I just love the guy's story. I like where he's coming from. I like the potential. Arizona drafted him. Never expected him to really be much probably this year. Comes into the preseason and shows that he is more than capable of taking over that franchise. I personally feel like Kyler Murray is out. I feel like he's done. They're done with him. They are not worrying about bringing him back. Clayton Tune, in my opinion, is the future and should be. You saw what you had with Kyler Murray. You know the headaches you have with him. It's time to cut bait. You got a mature kid in there, a competitor in there, and a guy who's more than capable of doing the job. Now, I didn't rank Kyler Murray on this list because he is not going to be available for week 1. And for that reason, I feel like this is like the top 32 going into week 1. So Kyler Murray was out by default. And then I know they also got Josh Dobbs that they traded for, who's potentially going to start week 1. I don't think so, though. I don't know why you would do that. But in case you were wondering, if Josh Dobbs ends up starting, I got him at dead last in the league because I think he's worse than even Baker Mayfield. But that is what it is. Clayton Tune, in my opinion, is the guy who should start and who I believe will start and who I believe is 16th best in the NFL. At 15, I have Bryce Young. This is a guy, again, we don't have a lot to go on. He hasn't played a meaningful NFL snap yet. And you might be asking, how can you have him ranked over all these other guys? Because if essentially look at it this way, if all of these guys were in a combine and they were all draft eligible, where would they rank? Bryce Young, talent-wise, is better than everyone else on the rest of this list that's under him. He is, talent-wise, pound for pound, he's better than all of them, and that's why I have him ranked higher. It's that simple, because we're judging and grading talent, not NFL accomplishments versus college. We're not doing any of that. We're judging talent, and Bryce Young is as talented, and in my opinion, more talented than all the rest of the list. Go back and review it and tell me how many people you would draft over Bryce Young. None. Okay, Bryce Young, in my opinion, is going to be a solid quarterback. I don't think he was the best one coming out of the draft. I don't think he's going to be as amazing as advertised, but the guy looks like he's going to be a steady presence for that franchise. And honestly, that's probably all they need right now. 14, we have Matthew Stafford. That is right. He had a really rough year last year, dealing with some injuries. But guess what? The guy still has talent. The arm, still well above average, damn near elite. The accuracy, above average. The mobility at this age is probably waning a little bit, but more than adequate. And then you also have the it factor. That team seems to really rally behind him. And then the fear factor, I think he does present a little bit of problems when you're defending that team, because what do? The guy can make all the throws anywhere on the field. There is nowhere he can't place the ball. So for that reason, he's sitting there at 14. I'm okay with it. That sounds about right. Now we get into interesting territory. At 13, we have Dak Prescott. I am a Cowboys fan. Always have been, always will be. But I will come to you and tell you, Dak Prescott, for me, I'm still not sold on his ability to lead the team to the promised land. I just feel like I've seen too many times where we need you to go make plays and they don't. I've watched too many games where he has big numbers and big stats and all this other stuff, but they were trailing. And so they had a whole bunch of garbage time stats and yards, and it doesn't really matter. It didn't equate to winning. In my opinion, if you make the Cowboys have to rely on the pass and Dak Prescott has to beat you, you're winning that 9 out of 10 times. And for that reason, I wouldn't even put Dak Prescott as high as 13. He would be lower for me. But again, it's not my opinion. It's a non-biased list. This is the way it shakes out. So at 13, we got Dak Prescott. At 12, we have Jared Goff. In my opinion, Jared Goff is way better than he will ever get credit for. Even more underrated and underappreciated than Kirk Cousins, because Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl and immediately got that wiped out. Jared Goff in a Super Bowl against Tom Brady was a throw away from winning that game. Do you understand that? Do you understand the throw to the back of the end zone that he overthrew by about a yard? That is the difference between him being a Super Bowl champion and not. This guy went to Detroit, was traded from LA, was deemed to be like, whatever, we'll take it, I guess. We'll have to get a new quarterback. Has come in and that team looks different. That passing offense looks different. That team looks like, oh no, we don't need to just go get a new guy. He can get it done. Jared Goff should be top 10. I do believe after this season will be top 10. But for right now, he's sitting at number 12. I'm not mad at it. But I'm telling you, keep your eye on Jared Goff. Start respecting that man. He's earned it. Number 11, we have Derek Carr. I don't remember. Actually, I do. The last time there was a quarterback that was this trashed and this looked over and this dismissed was probably a guy like Tony Romo. Derek Carr is a good quarterback. Derek Carr is a really good player. Derek Carr is borderline elite in terms of talent. His ability is unquestioned. I think playing for a dumpster fire franchise like the Raiders, what do you expect? You think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to go have a better year than Derek Carr has had or would have? Really? I don't see that happen. I just don't. I think Derek Carr is going to go down to New Orleans and play for the Saints and have a really good year and remind people of how good he actually can be. I think you guys are wrong if you're writing off Derek Carr. I think the Raiders are wrong for letting him go and moving off of him. The guy can play. 2 years, last year I believe he was 8. This year he drops down to 11, but still in that top 10 range. I think that's where he should be, firmly hovering around that top 10 range. That is number 11, Derek Carr.